Alright guys, this is going to be a guide on the level Theed, or Retake Theed Palace. I'm going to be showing off all the most advanced strats, just kind of showing how to do them all. I will show also how to do another strat for the Theed 2 room, but we'll cover that when we get there. So what I do is at the end cutscene for pod race, I go ahead and call in player 2. And any cutscene for vehicle levels, you can call in player 2 or player 1, whichever one is dropped out. Doesn't matter which. So I'll go ahead and drop him in. And so right at the beginning, you want to tag R2. Make sure you don't tag anyone else. It's bad if you tag Anakin, but it's not a big deal if you tag Padme. That is one that doesn't really matter all too much. But you definitely want to tag R2. And then you just want to go ahead and start moving him through this room. And what I do is I go ahead and just keep moving him, and I leave Obi-Wan there just for like half a second, and then I slash the bush. The reason being is so then you get their fast force for the whole forcing everything in the next room. So I just go ahead and start moving R2 through here, and then slash, grab the power up. And also for this thing, if you go ahead and fly with R2 and then force it, then he'll kind of like just go up with the bridge. And then as soon as you do that, you can just go ahead and drop him out, and then you get the force for both of these. All right, so for button room, there's two different ways to do it. Basically, the hardest way, and it's also the fastest way. It's what me and Chim can do. It's where there's a button. You just watch either one of our PBs, but we kind of run to the button and then jump slam. It's kind of risky, and it only saves like a second or maybe less than that. I'm not actually sure. No one's actually timed it, but it's definitely faster. But I'm going to show the easier strat just for beginners and stuff, and also just because it's like it's just way more consistent. So for this, you just kind of go around like this, and you just stand on this button. Much more consistent than what we do. And then for this next room, you just kind of want to try to avoid taking any hits. Like, see, that you don't want to do that kind of stuff, but there's not really a whole lot you can do. After you slash this, you're going to want to kind of come back so you can call in player 2. Otherwise, player 2 has issues calling in. So what I do is I come back and just start spamming, and then he's now tagging. And then you can either just like take a death right there, or you can just try to avoid the firepower. Also, I was not paying attention right there. What you want to do is you just kind of want to spam the tag button into that transition, and it'll tag Panaka, which is what you want. Now, if you tagged Padme in the very beginning, then you're good to go. The only thing you need to do is tag Qui-Gon, drop out. Just don't tag anyone else. If you do not tag Padme in the beginning, then you want to tag Panaka, and then you want to tag Qui-Gon. Don't tag anyone else and just drop out right after that. The reason being is because the way this game works is there's a player 3. So whoever player 2 was last, I guess, is kind of how it works, is player 3. So at the very beginning of the run, when you switch from Qui-Gon to R2, it sets Qui-Gon as player 3. So then when you come into this room and you tag Panaka, and then you tag Qui-Gon, it swaps Qui-Gon and Panaka, the two players. Now, if you tag Padme and then in the very beginning and then tag R2, then it sets Padme as player 3. And so then Padme is fine, because you either want Padme or Panaka, and Anakin does work as well. It's a little bit weird with Anakin. I wouldn't recommend it. But it does work as well we're doing another trick in the room. And the next room, and you basically just don't want it to be R2 or Qui-Gon. It is easier with Qui-Gon, but it is quite a bit slower because you have to reload the room and you have to do a different method. So yeah, basically you just want to go ahead and go tag Qui-Gon and then drop out. And then you just want to kind of go through this room, try to avoid deaths. That's another big thing in Theed, is just avoiding deaths. Because every death is like 3 or 4 seconds or something like that. Come over here, force this. Just kind of jump up this thing. Right here, you just kind of want to stand like right here where you can force a thing and the droids can't hit you. And then you're good. That was kind of slow, but basically you just want to force those droids and then come over here and then call in player 2. And then here is what's called box skip. You just kind of jump across this gap with player 1 or player 2. It really doesn't matter which one you want to do. You force the thing with player 2 and then jump up with the other player. You want to be careful here because if you come too far to the left with player 1 or player 2, whichever one is on this side, then you will hit a cutscene and it loses around 7 seconds to hit that cutscene. So you definitely don't want to hit that. You also it's kind of weird because if you miss box skip, then you can't really try again. So you either have to reset or you have to go open the panel for Anakin to go back through, and that's really slow. Basically, what you want to do here is you want to hit this button and start moving into this cutscene with player 2, and then if you kill the player that hits the button, then the player. So if you kill the player that hits the button, which I did not do because I was explaining stuff. Then the other player can keep going and go all the way through that transition in that cutscene. And if you'll notice in here, you see how Panaka's in that corner? That's where player 3 stands. So you don't want that to be Qui-Gon or R2. Those are the really, really bad ones that you don't want it to be. If that does happen, what you do is you walk back into this room, and like let's say that you want I want this character to be hold on, let me just. I already killed him. I want this character. Let's say I want Panaka to be Qui-Gon. So what I would do is I would tag Panaka, tag Qui-Gon, and then tag Obi-Wan. And see when I come back in through here, now Qui-Gon is my player 3. And then so to swap back, I would swap to Qui-Gon, swap to Panaka, swap to Anakin or to Obi-Wan. And so now my player 3 is Padme. So basically what you want to do this trick, you want to push them back into this corner. You want to have them all the way up against the corner. And then you just, so first of all, you want to get them down to 1 heart. Make sure they are completely up against this corner and then kill them. And then I stand about right here. Do you see where his lightsaber is kind of like going up into the ceiling? It's a little bit to the left of the like where the kind of archway ends. And then that'll push her past the transition. And then, so from here, you want to kind of come around and kind of drop down here. So the way out of bounds works in this game is if you stop moving, you start falling. And if you press A, then you jump. So you basically want to moving the whole time, but if you come up too high, then you'll just pop right back up in bounds. Like your head can't really come in bounds at all. So you want to kind of be careful. So you kind of want to come over here, kind of staying out a little bit, otherwise you will just fall to your death. And you'll see this kind of like plant right here. You kind of want to run up against it, and then you want to kind of come around it. And there's a spot where you can jump. I messed it up right there. But you kind of want to. This is a little bit tricky. You just kind of gotta play around with it. But you kind of just want to come around here, and then just kind of you want to jump around it, and then you can just jump up this wall. And then from here you don't have to move anymore. You're kind of like on solid ground. So this vent, if you do walk into it, then you are stuck. And you have to call in player 2, drop out player 1, and go back and re-hit the transition. So you definitely don't want to do that. So what you want to do is you want to jump around it, which is what making... So this is what makes it a little bit harder to use a gun character, because with a Jedi, it's a lot easier to jump around it. And by the way, you cannot jump over it, so don't think you can just jump over it. That does not work. You'll be soft locked if you do that, or not soft locked, but you'll get stuck in there. So you want to jump around that with your character, and it makes it a little bit easier with a Jedi. But the issue with Jedi is you can't just slash them. You have to jump slash them because they'll just block your attacks. So it's a lot slower, and then also it's basically impossible to get Qui-Gon as your player 3 without reloading the room and switching all your characters around, which is a lot slower. But yeah, then the next part of this is you want to kind of come around here and you want to kind of stay to the left. I didn't go left far enough, but you kind of want to like stand inside this wall, otherwise you will just fall all the way down. You'd also want to come too far left, otherwise you will come in bounds. And then from here, you can just kind of jump and hit the transition. But yeah, that's basically most of Theed. The rest of Theed is just the hanger. The hanger is really easy. Yeah, from here, you just want to kind of not take a death in this room. It's not too hard. Then you just want to be a gun character coming to this room. It really doesn't matter whether Padme or Panaka. But if you do everything correctly, you will be Panaka through the whole thing. Then you just want to come right here. For this, you just want to kind of this one you just have to kind of get used to. You just kind of want to shoot like in this general direction and that general direction, and just make sure you're shooting at the peak of your jump, and it'll basically work every time. And then after that, do not call in player 2 before you hit them. Otherwise, they don't work that well because the camera gets all wonky. Once I step up, I go ahead and call in player 2. And then you just kind of want to move R2 through the room as you're killing all the droids and everything with player 1. And then right here, I'm going to go ahead and stop moving. What you want to do is you kind of want to, you see this like bar right here? You kind of want to stand to the right of that and come back here, and then you want to jump and shoot at the peak of your jump. About right here. And you'll see that kills that last droid. Another thing to mention is... that usually doesn't happen. That's actually what I was talking about. As long as you're not a Jedi for the most part, that won't happen. Where it pulls player 2 back and calls him as a different player. The reason why that happened is because I wasn't moving with other player. But if you were moving with both players, that wouldn't have happened. So basically, just don't tag a Jedi before that cutscene. Otherwise, that will happen like every time. And also be moving on both players. Into that cutscene. But yeah, that's the. I just kind of wanted to make a video on this level. This level is definitely one of the harder ones. Might be the hardest prequel level, honestly, to get good at. But yeah, I hope this helps you guys.